Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 49. Apparently, I am a daredevil today. Or what is it? No, today is Friday, July 4th, 2014. I'm giving it a shot recording outside on my balcony. I have a second floor apartment, and I sort of went outside and tested it, whatever, this morning and figured, okay, it won't be the end of the world, and so I'm going to give it a try, but the coffee might push me over the edge. Because I really wanted some coffee to record with, so. It's been a little bit longer than normal between episodes. It's certainly the case where it would have been pretty hard to have recorded whatever that first week, so. Or whatever, when I normally record on Tuesdays. And I'm thinking, that the weekend is probably going to actually be the best time for me. So, so I figured recording on Friday, and then we could slowly shift it to Saturday, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. I was sort of half tempted to record last night, but I do want proper lighting and stuff like that, though it's looking a little funky on my screen right now. Oh well. But I have successfully made it to Texas. I have started my new job. I have, So it was the case. And I safely made it to Texas as well. So that was all very good. There was only one hairy part of my journey, and that was when I was driving into and out of St. Louis. I ran into thunderstorms. So as it turns out, when you drive into a thunderstorm, it suddenly goes from being dry roads and perfect conditions to hydroplaning, and that's a little bit too exciting for me. But it was just the case where I hydroplaned off to the side of the road with everyone else. I sat there for a while, calmed down, and then went on my merry way. And then when I saw the next thing of thunderstorms, I knew to slow down to below 45, and then everything was fine, and everything went really smoothly. So, what was it? Another funny thing about the drive was I had forgotten I'd set my GPS to avoid toll roads, so there was a diversion into Kansas that I don't think was worth it. Oh well. If I'm to drive this drive again in the future, I'm taking interstates most of the way. So I feel like I have a decent amount to show you guys this week. So where to begin? I'll probably end up beginning with the new boom. So I had just weighed it before I weighed the remaining yarn, and I am now down to 120 grams remaining. So I think, was it last time I recorded that I said I was 40% done? I think it was. So now I am well past that. It should be possible to actually figure out what percentage that should be. So if I have 120 remaining, this means that I am at 60% now. So I have, what was it? So if 30 grams is 10%, that means that I have 4 more groups. So I'm now at 60% done on this shawl. And it is coming along quite nicely. So I'm wondering whether or not this is going to oversaturate the camera or not. So So I have, what is it? I have about 6 grams left of the gray. And it took about 3 grams to do the 2 rounds. So I think this would mean that I would have about, what is it? That I probably have 2 more rows left of the gray. And then I'll have to be done with that. Which, whatever. So I don't think I can squeak out 3. Though it might turn out that it's actually using 1.5 times. So I'll have to do, or what is it? I probably have enough to do a garter ridge, but probably not a lot more. So I'll probably do a garter ridge after I do a couple rows of green, and then I'll be done with the gray color, and then I'll start incorporating in the maroon color again as a contrast color. I think that is what I'm going to end up doing. Because I don't think I can get away with doing too much more than that. If I end up pulling up this little ball, this is how much gray remains at this point. It's not a whole lot, so that's fine. I'm gonna make it work. But I am much happier with repeating the little star portion of the chart as opposed to what is it? As opposed to trying to work the chart and then having to awkwardly stop in the middle. So continuing on at this rate of 10% of the shawl done a week, that would imply that I will probably be able to finish before the end of Stash Dash. I haven't sat down and figured out, what is it? I haven't sat down and figured out if that's actually going to be enough yardage to get me to the end. It certainly has been a really great project for me for this past month, just because it's been a little bit stressful coordinating all of the things that needed to get done in order to move down here. And it'd be the case where, what is it? Like, it's just been what I've been going to knit. And it certainly is a sort of project where it's, well, it's getting to the point now where it's pretty big to carry around. It's a beast. But it'll probably be a little bit easier once I don't have 3 balls of yarn following me around. It's just been very comfortable knitting. So I ended up not doing any more work on my alfalfa sweater. Like, I was thinking about picking it up briefly and working on it a little bit today, but it's not worth it. But I did end up starting the second sock of the Maurice. So, but I wanted to show you guys something hilarious. So, I put the Maurice sock in my new little skein bag, which is what I ended up winning from the Mustache Podcast Girls. And then this is my normal knitting bag. This is a Tom bin bag. I adore it. It's the Little Swift. And then we're going to take a moment, and I was so struck by this the other night, was that if you look here, like, look at how much bigger this bag is than my normal knitting bag. So I ended up putting my Maurice project in here, and so, whatever, so I can zip it up quickly. So, bag, whatever. You're like, oh wow, this bag looks a little bit full. Well, that's true. You know what I put in this bag? Sock number 1. ball of yarn. Ooh, there's some danger in just randomly dropping things. The book. Swallowed by the bag. My tablet. And what I'm actually working on at the moment, which is the ball of yarn for the red ribbing, and then this bit of sock. So, what is it? I ended up deciding that it was rather silly to continue to not start the second sock, so I figured I would bite the bullet and finally do it. And so I had complained about this in a variety of places. So I decided that when I went to the local yarn shop to knit with the the various ladies, that I was going to bring my sock along, and that I really needed to get a move on with it. So that's what I did, and so then this is how much I ended up working on, or this was how much sock I ended up getting done. I wasn't quite to the part where I would do the to change the stitch count to be the right amount for the color work, and finish the ribbing. I'll have to consult the book at some point, I suppose. But I figured that once it's started, it's not going to be so bad, but that there seemed to be a very large barrier for me in order to actually start the stupid sock. So, sock number 2 is finally started. And in terms of how much work is going to actually take to finish the stupid thing, this is probably the thing that's the closest to being done for Stash Dash out of all of my projects. So, and I think the only thing that I'm going to be doing differently on this sock is I'm going to have to be doing a different set of toe decreases, but I wanted to, So to do a different set of toe decreases, I'm going to have to mod the pattern a little bit, because following the pattern fairly exactly didn't really work for the Dear Sweet Little Bullets, but I wasn't going to rip back the first sock many times in order to get it right for that. So the toe of this first sock is just a bit too pointy. So I don't know what else I can do about it, but it's probably the case where I'm just going to have to do a more standard toe decrease, and I don't know if it's the case. I don't think I have enough room to put in another repeat of Lizard into the sock, so it'll just be the case where I have to do that 1 by 1 corrugated sort of stitch to it for a little while after I finish the chart. Okay. I guess the good news about podcasting when it's so hot outside is that my coffee stays hot. So that has been what I've been knitting. I have been doing some spinning as well. Well, so the Tour de France starts July 5th. And I actually have cable TV right now, so I'm actually looking forward to being able to watch the tour on TV. I haven't had cable in a very, very long time, so it'll be nice, whatever, to be able to finally do that. But I'm still working on the nest fiber. It turned out, so I was a part of there was a spin along going in the group, which was the spring to summer spin along, knit along. But yesterday was the last day for that, and I'm not done yet, so I guess I missed that train. But this is how it is turning out. Oh man, I don't even know if you can really even see the colors there. I'll have to figure out maybe a better podcast location for the next time I record. And I have about half of this ball done at this point. I'm pretty close to the halfway point. And I have 2 more little balls to go before I am done. So it's been nice. So each little color, so there are 4 color runs in a ball, and it takes about 15 minutes or so to do a color run. and I had 7 little balls to spin. So it is very pretty. I'm excited to see how it ends up coming together, since this is the first time I've ever done a fractal live before. And I've been trying to be pretty conscientious about spinning a little bit every day. Because, I don't know, maybe there's something really motivating about having a podcast and making sure that I have content. So my goal for Tour de Fleece, though, is to actually get some more done on my Shetland sweater spin. So it has been incredibly inspiring looking at all the threads and looking at the fiber people have been showing, and people have been making roll-lugs and poonies and gradient boxes, or they're turning their variegated braids of fiber into gradients, and oh my gosh. So there's just been all sorts of interesting ideas, and so I felt inspired to actually go into the garage, pull out all of the fleece, pull out the cards, and actually get started making whatever this next set of roll-ups. It would have been nice to have done it back in Lafayette. However, roll-ups don't really take well to being squished. So while I feel fine squishing my locks, I don't feel so great about squishing my roll-ups. So that ended up meaning that I was taking it easy. So I made another 2 ounces, and I ended up finding out a cool thing. So the cup that I use to basically make the size of my scale larger, plus the plastic bag, equals 2 ounces. So all I needed to do was to keep on throwing in roll-ups until I made it to 4. So then this is sort of what my little bag of roll-ups looks at this point. I'm just waiting to see whether or not you guys can actually see what's going on there. So they're whatever, a mixture of sizes, and they look sort of like squirrel tails. But this will be enough for 1 skein of yarn. Enough. Like, I was hoping that I'd be able to do 4 ounces last night, and I was only able to do, to do 2. At some point, my hands were getting a little bit sore, so hopefully I can break it up a little bit and maybe make another set of 2 ounces. Because I was actually surprised at how long it ended up taking in order to get everything settled out and stuff like that. Oh well. So I also ended up pulling out my Ashford 3-ounce spindle, and that's what I'm going to be spinning these guys on. I'm not sure if I'm betting that I'm going to finish my nest spin before I start the Shetland, and then I can end up entering finished yarn into whatever groups I'm participating in Tour de Fleece with. What is it? I am a part of the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group, because they have lots of fabulous prizes. It's very cool. And so I ended up stating my goal. My goal was to spin the Shetland stuff, but it's not like I am, like when you only maybe spend 15 or 20 minutes spinning a day, it ends up not being a lot of production, but if I spin when watching the tour, that will be many hours every day of spinning, and so that's going to be really cool, and we'll see how much I'm able to churn through. I'll have to figure out when the when the schedule's up. I suppose the other problem is that because well, it's not necessarily a problem, but since my Shetland sweater spin is a cable ply, that means that I'm spinning 4 times the singles in order to get 1 thing of yarn. So that ends up hurting me a little bit with Stash Dash. So if I can get the nest fiber done, that's going to be a pretty good boost for my total. I'm fairly sure I'm above 3,000 yards now. So it's probably the case where all I need to do is finish 3 of like these 4 things that I have going on right now. And it might not even necessarily even be 3 of the 4. But I would very much so like to make it to the 5 kilometers, but we'll see. So the Shetland's going to be starting very soon. I'm just going to wait until the beginning to start it. I don't know why people are so, caught up in the fact they need to have clear wheels and clear bobbins and all the other stuff, just because, I don't know. I guess I'm the sort of person where if something needs to change or something needs to get done, now is an appropriate time. Like, I don't wait for the first of the month or something like that. Like, I decide, like, okay, like, I need to spin the Shetland fleece, so now is a good time. Or I need to finish the nest fiber, so now is a good time. I don't know, I just think it's funny. So whatever. So it's the case where maybe I'm a little bit arbitrary about when I start things, but it's just because if something needs to get done, it should begin, like, now is a good time. And I ended up having, I don't know if I'm going to end up making this a special segment, but I ended up dyeing some fiber and some yarn. So, and even more than that, I ended up over dyeing fiber and yarn. So, I'll show you the fiber first, since that's a nice segue from spinning, is I ended up over dyeing the Rock and String Creations fiber. So this is, I showed you guys this the last episode. I'm just going to take the label off this. And I ended up talking with Erin about it because, what is it? Because, you know, it's sort of, you sort of feel a little bit bad when you end up winning a prize and it's not to your taste. So I just let her know that I ended up over dyeing it and I was going to be talking about it on my podcast. And I am really thrilled with how it ended up turning out. So this is the new and improved braid. So instead of being olive green, maroon, purple, and hot pink, I ended up over dyeing it with the mixed berry blue Kool-Aid. And I think it still smells very, very slightly of the Kool-Aid. But it really ended up tying all of the colors together. So it's this gorgeous jewel tone thing. I'm trying to find the best way to actually show you guys what the color is. Maybe back here? It might be a little bit closer to what it is. And this is something that I ended up doing the first night that I was in this apartment. So it was just the case where I threw it in the pot. I found some of the Kool-Aid. I ended up putting in 4 packets of Kool-Aid in there. And just sort of put the stove on medium and then waited for the water to turn clear. So I'm really very, very happy with how it ended up turning out. And so now it seems to me now that the colors are actually tied together. There's a common theme between them. And it's going to be a lot of fun to spin this now. I'm thinking that I'm going to have this end up being a sock spin, so I'll end up splitting it into 3 and doing a 3-ply with it. And I think this is, what is it? So this is Falkland, and apparently, what was it? Maybe I heard this on the Knit Girls podcast, but a lot of the sheep in the Falkland Islands are actually Polworth and mixes of Polworth and stuff like that. So that's a good thing to know. So it will, I think it will be a lot of fun to spin this up now. But it was sort of the case where I was looking at the colors before and I just couldn't imagine how in the world it would come together. But now that it has this sort of blue tying it all together, I can see what it is that I want, and I can see that it's all going to work. So that was really a win for me. Now, the yarn, on the other hand, is going to need some work. So if you guys remember, for my birthday, I ended up picking up 3 skeins of Wool Mica DK in the Feldmouse colorway because I wanted to knit myself a gray sweater. And I showed you the gray sweater I actually wanted to get was actually Mouse Young, not Feldmouse. And so my mother-in-law, Jody, saved the day and sent me that. But I decided after what a great success I had had with this that I would go ahead and over-dye the Feldmouse using the mixed berry Kool-Aid. And the yarn is still wet. I ended up putting it outside here so that whatever, it could dry a little faster, and I think it is drying a little bit faster over here. But there were a couple of things that ended up making this more challenging than dyeing the fiber. Like, I thought there might be some danger in dyeing the fiber because there's the chance of felting and stuff like that. But I wasn't quite prepared for how readily superwash takes in dye. So what ended up happening was that there are parts of this yarn that are still pretty much the same brown color, the grayish brown color that they were initially, and there are parts of this which are pretty teal. So I used 4 packets of blue Kool-Aid for the 4 ounces of fiber. This is a 2 ounce, or this is a 200 gram skein here. And it's just sort of a crapshoot what sort of color it is. So I'm letting these dry right now to sort of get a sense for if this was the color that I actually wanted all along. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to actually show what color it is. Maybe this looks a little bit better back here. But it is, what is it? Several different, so depending on the spot, it's either teal or it's brown or some sort of variation in between. So I'm not quite sure what I need to change in order to make it dye better. But obviously, as it is right now, isn't going to work. So I think part of my mistake was that what I did initially is I took, what is it? So I took the Kool-Aid, I mixed it in with water, and then I threw in a skein, and then I was going to add more water, and after I had thrown all the skeins in. And that first skein that I put in the bottom absorbed all the dye. Immediately, cold water, no nothing, like slurp. And that there really wasn't any more dye left, basically, to take it up. So then I was like, oh crap, all of the Kool-Aid has now gone into one skein. So I ended up throwing the other skeins in there, and I covered it with water, and I was hoping that maybe it would redistribute, and it was, like, I don't think I've ever seen yarn take dye so fast. Ever. So it's probably going to take maybe a little bit of reading to figure out what I should be doing in order to properly dye superwash. I ended up adding 14 more packets of Kool-Aid to end up getting this, and then what I did last night was I put the stove on and then basically heated it for a little while and then turned the stove off, and in the morning the water was totally clear. So I'm assuming I got the dye set. I didn't end up seeing much simmering, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to dye it more. I guess the good news is that the Kool-Aid packets are pretty cheap right now. But the bad news is that it's still going to end up taking some more work. I was hoping that when I, after it was dried out, I'd be happier with it. But looking at it now, it's just sort of, there's so much variation between the skeins that I'm not even sure how in the world I would use it or how in the world this actually dyed. Because the short answer is it's effectively like a kettle dyed sort of thing. And I was hoping that just because I'd thrown them all into the pot for the most part at the same time that I would end up having a pretty close dye lot, but I'm not getting that impression now. So if you guys end up having any ideas about what to do, I think the answer for me, or the thing that I think will be the best path forward, will be to get more packets of Kool-Aid and dye more. Because I think it's the case where, what is it? For full saturated color, you need 1 packet per 10 grams. So I currently have 21 packets spread across the 600 grams, but that it might end up taking. So if I end up getting maybe another 20 more packets, that it might end up being much closer to a solid color, because it's an over dye. I guess the only nice thing about this is that even with wool mice's incredibly vivid colors, it's still sucking up dye like a sponge. So I think it's just the case where I need to go to the store, I need to get 20 more packets of Kool-Aid, mix all the water and dye together, and then dump them back in. But that didn't work out as well as planned, and not nearly as wonderful as my over dye of the fiber. So I will have to try again. So I suppose at this point I could probably stick the fiber back in the water if I was planning on stopping by the grocery store today and getting more packets or something. I'm not sure. But if you guys have any ideas or tricks and tips in order to make that work, I'd be more than happy to hear about it. Though it might just be the case where it was simply just not enough dye for how much stuff I had, because they're really, really big skeins. Now, in terms of the color, I think I'm fairly satisfied with the color where it is fully saturated. Like, what is it? So this would be an example of the color where it's fully saturated, maybe. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Maybe the computer is sitting a little bit farther back than normal. So where the color is fully saturated, I think it's fairly pretty. I'm not so sure about the places where the color wasn't fully saturated. Like, I've probably darkened it somewhat by doing this way, but we shall see. A learning experience for sure. I just have like yarn hanging all over the place. But such is life. So those were my adventures in dyeing, successes and less successes. So let's see what else I want to talk about. So I was absolutely thrilled to finally get to meet Allison. Allison's rab name is Allison Roseboom. It turned out that the route that I ended up taking took me right through her town, so we ended up stopping at a coffee shop. We ended up having lunch and chatting, and I ended up staying longer than I intended, but it was a great deal of fun. And so she got to show me, or whatever, she brought a ton of projects to finish, and I just brought the new them. So I got to see all of the beautiful shawls that she's been working on, her pair of stitch surfers, and we ended up talking for a little while about what the best pattern would be for her next Camp Loopy project. So it was really, really wonderful to hear. So thanks, Allison. And I'm sort of bummed out that I wasn't able to go to the knitting pipeline retreat, because I think that would have also been really awesome as well. But we shall see how things end up going and all that other stuff. What is it? I'm still trying to puzzle out what my schedule is going to end up being, and what I'm going to end up deciding to do and all that other fun stuff. So what else? Oh snap! I forgot something that I really wanted to show you guys. So I'm actually going to be right back. Okay, so I really, really, really needed to show you guys. So sorry about pausing the video. So what was it? So last week was full of craziness. It was getting the car all packed, whatever, saying goodbye to a lot of my friends in Indiana, what is it? So then the night before I left, I ended up having dinner with Joyity. Joyity and I were podcasting for a while together, and she ended up giving me this like really, really sweet gift. So I wanted to show you guys. The first part of the gift was that she ended up spinning this set or this fiber for me. So this is what is it? So this is from Rologs, or this is Rologs from, what is it? Wool Amortis, and it's merino wool, English Angora, and blue flash. And like she ended up getting this, and she knew that it was going to be Molly yarn. So I am just so thrilled about this. I think if I can make it work, I would like to make a pretty thing out of it, because it is incredibly soft and incredibly blue and incredibly fun. The other thing that Joyity did was she ended up making me a project bag. So, and I just think this is so totally cute. So it's like made by Joyity. So she ended up having this fabric in her stash that is basically blue with little PCB traces. So Joyity is also an electrical engineer as well. So it was the case where, so of course she ended up having PCB fabric laying around in her stash. So she made this little sock bag for me, so then it closes up like this. And what's another cool thing about this bag is that it actually has a pouch in the middle, so you can have two skeins on either side of the pouch, and then you can put things in the pouch, like useful stuff, which is actually lined in the same fabric as the rest of the bag. So it was such a sweet gift, and I really wasn't expecting anything at all, but I'm so pleased. And I had to show you guys because I was so excited. So I ended up giving Joyity the leftovers from my Fat Cat Knits, my BFL fiber for socks. And as it turned out, she was having a really bad day. So I think this was, a hand spun exchange. Yay! So I was just, very, very thrilled and very excited about that. And so, what is it? So now, what is it? Like, it's definitely, it's been a fairly bittersweet week in terms of saying goodbye to the life that I had built, in the last 5 years in Lafayette, and then to to open myself up to this new life that I'm going to be building in the Dallas Metroplex. So it's definitely this place is definitely very, very different. But hey, I'm still drinking coffee. I'm still podcasting outside. So it's the case where going out and trying to make new friends and meet new people and to, like it's sort of the case where anytime when you move to a new place, you need to open yourself up. Um, and I know that as an introverted person, that can be a pretty challenging thing, but it's just the case where, um, what do you say? Like it's necessary. So for now, my husband and I are going to be living in two different cities. I know that when I started the podcast, that was basically the first weekend that I was on my own. So it seems sort of funny to be full circle now for episode 49 is once again living in an apartment in a new town. Getting used to all of those different things. So, what was it? I haven't had a chance to go to the climbing gym yet. Tomorrow, I'm going to be looking for a new apartment. So, the apartment I'm currently in is only a temporary thing, so I end up getting 30 days of housing from my company. So, I don't have to pay any rent, I don't have to pay for the internet, TV, I have furnishings, I have all this, well, sort of all of the stuff I need to make food in the kitchen, a couch, a coffee table, stuff like that. And it was really nice. It turned out that they had included like a set of like toiletries and some laundry soap and some dishwasher detergent and all that other good stuff. I had to buy because it was really only like a sample for one thing, but it was really nice to not have to worry about it too much. So where I'm living now is actually very close to my favorite grocery store, or my favorite chain of grocery stores apparently. So as it turns out, I really liked Sprouts Supermarket in Albuquerque. And it turns out that the closest grocery store to my apartment is Sprouts. So yeah, I was actually able to buy New Mexico green chili. So I was very, very excited that I was able to buy chili in Dallas. And really, I'm not in Dallas. I'm actually in Plano, Texas right now. So what else? So I've been getting my bearings. There's probably double getting my bearings going on because I need to sort of get a sense for the lay of the land and stuff like, or whatever, a lay of the land for where I am living right now and then getting a sort of a lay of the land for being a full-time employee. And all of the, all of the benefits and all of the responsibilities that come with that. So it's so I think I'm going to be a little bit off balance for whatever the next couple of months. But like good things are going to come from it, so it's not too bad. Probably the biggest change will be after a week of work, I realized that I'm probably going to have a smartphone, and so I ended up talking with my boss. And it turns out that my company will actually pay for the data plan and the plan. So, so that was pretty exciting because I didn't really want to have an extra $100 a month bill. That's so significant. My current cell phone, I'm on a family plan right now, and it's $14 a month. So the prospect of having it, I don't even know, a much larger bill wasn't very exciting to me. But having that be covered is really fantastic. So that's probably the biggest change coming on the horizon. So, what is it? I still haven't decided yet if I want to go and see the fireworks, or if I'll just not go see the fireworks because it's sort of strange to be all by yourself and doing that sort of thing. But hey, it all ends up working out in the end. And probably one of the nicest things so far about this whole thing has been, knowing a couple of people that I've worked with in the past I'm going to be working with now. So it's very nice to not have to, whatever, restart relationships from scratch with that sort of thing. And be like, I know Eddie, I know Adam. We're all working on the same project together. And probably one of the most amazing things is, so I'm walking around the hallways and stuff like that, and I realized yesterday that some of like the smartest, most highly regarded people in whatever the division that I'm in are working on the project I'm working on. So that was just like, ooh. So it was just sort of crazy to be the case. Like, wait a second, what was it? They have like a plaque or something when you end up having a great, like, many patents and inventions and stuff like that. And I could pick out, what is it? Many people from my project are on basically that wall of fame. So that was whatever, really tremendously exciting. So hopefully I'm able to get up to speed and be able to help them out and whatever, make this project I'm working on a reality. So it is very exciting. And is there anything else I want to talk about? So I will be able to, I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to record next Saturday. So for going off that, that'll be June 12th. And so then I'm hoping that this will end up shifting the podcast schedule to something that, shifts the podcast schedule to something which will be sustainable for the future. And there'll probably be a couple of times where I'll need to skip on a Saturday. But I figure that this is going to work moving forward. And maybe I'll have to figure out a better place lighting-wise to record in my apartment. I'll end up trying the bedroom next because there's a nice big bay window there, and I think that'll end up looking pretty cool. Unless it just turns out that backlighting is bad, in which case I can face the other direction. But what is it? So it's just a case where I'm getting used to a new place. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.